Here we are going to demonstrate how to solve this problem. As we can see, there are two matrices, and both of them are 3 by 2s, meaning 3 rows and 2 columns. And one is being multiplied by half, while another is being multiplied by -1/4. So according to PEMDAS, meaning we have to multiply first before we subtract. We need to do the multiplication of a half and the multiplication of -1/4, and then we can add them. Here it says in math, BEMDAS is an acronym for the order of operation used to evaluate an expression. It stands for brackets, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So therefore, we must do multiplication before we add or subtract. So we are going to multiply a half by this matrix, then multiply 1/4 by this matrix, and then do the subtraction. So we are going to demonstrate how to multiply a half by this matrix. To multiply a half by any matrix, or to multiply, as a matter of fact, to multiply a matrix by a number, any number, be it a fraction or whole number, you've got to multiply that number to each element in the matrix. So a half, that's how you multiply a number to a matrix. A half has to multiply to 1/4, to -4, sorry. It has to multiply to 8. It has to multiply to 5. It has to multiply to 7. It has to multiply to -10, and it has to multiply to 9. That's how you multiply any number to a matrix. You've got to multiply that number, be it a fraction or an integer, to each element in the matrix. As you can see here, I have prepared a template to show you how I'm going to multiply a half to each element in this matrix. So a half times this matrix would be equal to a half times -4, and the symbol for times that is being used in this program is a dot. A dot is another symbol for multiplication apart from the X that we know. A dot in the middle of the two values is also multiplied. Not a decimal. The decimal is on the line, on the level of the line, but on above between the two lines, that's multiplication. So the half times -4, a half times 8. I will say you have to multiply that number. We call it scalar multiplication. Scalar means just a number, and in this case, it's a half. You have to multiply the half by each element in the matrix. So that's why you multiply a half to this matrix. And let's take a look at the solution. As you know, a half of -4 is -2. Half of 8 is 4. Half of 5 is 2.5. 0.2. Half of 7 is 3.5. Half of -10 is 5. And half of 9 is 4.5. So here's the result. The result is -2, 4, 5/2, 7/2, -5, and 9/2. The decimals, they put it as a fraction. So that's the answer for half times this matrix. Now we are going to repeat the same for 1/4. times this matrix. And as you can see, a quarter was multiplied to each element in this matrix, and here is the solution. So now we are going to add those two solutions. No, subtract, sorry, subtract. So now we have done the two multiplications. Now we are going to subtract. And here we are going to subtract. Now to subtract, you must subtract each corresponding element. So -2 have to subtract to 3/2. 4 have to subtract to 1/2. 5/2 have to subtract to 3. 7/2 have to subtract to -2, and so forth. So here we subtracted each corresponding element. And let's see the result. So here's the working, here's the calculation. And here's the result. As you can see, the solutions match. So you have -7/2, right? -2 subtract 3/2 is -7/2. 4 subtract 1/2. Yeah, 4 subtract 1/2. Is 3.5. 3.5 is 7/2. You have 5/2 subtract 3 is -1/2. 5/2 is 2.5. 2.5 subtract 3 is -1/2. You have 7/2, which is 3.5 subtract 2. Okay. And the answer is 11/2. -5 subtract 6 is -11. 9/2 subtract 4 is 17/2. Yeah, just to point out something there, that is 7/2 subtract a -2. Okay, 7/2 subtract a -2, that's 7/2 plus 2. Okay, so that's 3.5 plus 2, that's 5.5. So that's why this is 11/2. And the same goes for here. This is 9/2 subtract a -4. So that's 9/2 plus 4. Okay, 9/2 is 4.5. 4.5. 4.5 plus 4. That will give you 8.5, which is 17/2. So remember, you do the multiplication, and then after the multiplication was done to both matrices, then they were subtracted according to them. That's multiplication comes before subtraction. And that's the answer. And of course, we have to learn how to subtract fractions. Now, before we end the video, I just want to show you how you can subtract, because this is 115, so you don't have to show me how you subtract in fractions. So you can do that in your calculator. So we want to calculate -2 subtract 3/2. You can easily do that in your calculator here. -2 subtract, and in a bracket you can put 3/2, close bracket. The answer is -3.5 or -7/2. You can put your answer in decimals. You don't have to put your answer in fractions. Okay, so if the calculator gives you decimals, you can put decimals. -3.5, -3.5 is the same as -7/2.